Well, here we are. We knew they were cooking something up with this series after the Mario Galaxy movie was revealed to have Fox McCloud in it. I just didn't expect it in this form. When they just shadow dropped the Star Fox Direct out of nowhere and watching it live, I think I went through the 7 stages of grief. Why is it 64 again? Why did it look so weird? But now that I'm over the shock of this remake, I gotta say, it really surprised me. Yeah, I still have some issues with it, I'll go over, but man, as a fan of this series for a decade plus, gotta say we've never been this more back. Welcome to my review of Star Fox 2026. Now the game has 3 modes, Campaign, Challenges, and Battle Mode. I'll go over each of these modes in this video. I'll start with the first, and the one I have most to say about, the Campaign. The campaign is basically what you know and love from the original, but with more flair with cutscenes and writing. But I do have some issues with it. The first thing I have an issue with is the writing and characterization of the characters. I do think the cutscenes were way overhyped in the marketing. They were kinda all structured the same. General Pepper does the introductions, Falco says something snarky, Peppy says something wise, Slippy tells something cynical about the mission, and then Fox tells the team to go. While I'm talking about the characters, a big controversial thing about them is the designs. At first I was put off by them, but now I actually like them. There's still some things I would tweak, like the skinny legs, but hey, they still look cool. I even like Cat now. When she was first shown, I really hated it, but now that I've played it and seen how they kept her flirty personality, I love her now. Sadly, I can't say the same for the others, especially Fox and Falco. You know, I never got the impression that Fox was obsessed with getting paid for his job. Sure, that was a thing in Adventures, but throughout the game, he changed his mind to actually care about Soria, instead of just caring about the money. In other games like Assault and the OG64, he seems to be a good leader and make his father proud. Here in this remake, he just cares about getting paid. Yeah, I know he's a mercenary, but he seems to have more care in the other games. He also doesn't want to be compared to his dad. Another thing I don't like, and before people said, no, they did change his characterization of Fox in this. He doesn't act the same about his father. I really don't like this change. It makes him seeing his dad at the end feel less earned like the OG. While I'm not positive on Fox's character changes, my god isn't it as bad as Falco. What did they do to you, Falco? In the OG game, sure, he was still a dick, but you could still tell he cared about the team he worked with. Here, they flanderized him where he's just a dick. The most egregious point is where if you fail Katina and Bill is presumed dead, he just doesn't care. It is borderline psychotic.
His transponder is offline. Maybe it's just a malfunction.
Bill would want us to keep moving forward.
Don't look at me. I know I pulled my weight.
But anyway, aside from writing and designs, what about the gameplay? Well, it's 64 like you know and love. In fact, it controls wonderfully. No, it controls better even. I don't know if it's just me, but playing Star Fox 64 on an N64 controller never felt right to me. Maybe it's because I never liked how the controller felt in my hands. But with the remake, playing with the Switch 2 Pro controller, it just felt so right. Aiming, shooting, paddling the R-Wing, locking down enemies. Although one critique I have with shooting enemies, and that's critique for all modes, not just the campaign, is how there's no hit feedback when shooting enemies. So you sometimes have zero idea if you do damage on the enemies. The worst it got for me was the Zonas boss. I had no idea how to beat him because when I used the bombs there was zero hit feedback. And every time he lost a part he kept repairing it. And when Peppy kept telling me, shoot the exhaust pipe, I was like, what pipes? It took me 20 minutes to figure out how to beat him. Another critique I have is the voice direction. It's a mixed bag, sadly. Sure, some of the bosses, Andros, James, Cat, Bill, General Pepper, and Star Wolf sound great. Other bosses and some of the main four's voice lines don't go all out of their way for some of their deliveries. For example, I actually prefer Sector Y's boss voice acting, making him seem like an honorable Japanese samurai.
Don't party just yet. This is an honorable defeat.
Meanwhile, Macbeth's train conductor voice lines don't hit as hard as the OG. I don't think they will be as remembered as the original, sadly.
No, wait! Hit the brakes! I can't stop it!
Also, the game is just way too easy. Even on Expert, I got medals way too easily. It doesn't help that retries don't have a penalty by taking a life from you like the OG. One last thing I'll say before I move on to the challenges. The game looks beautiful. It's like I'm playing it on a high-end PC. Valent Studios' in-house engine is super impressive to Switch 2 hardware. The last time I was this impressed by a game's graphics was Resident Evil Requiem, and that doesn't look that great on Switch 2. Now let's move on to challenges, and when you think, man, they sure made this remake a little easy, I guess difficulty went all here. I haven't done all the challenges yet, but this is very challenging and fun, and some of these can be very brutal. Like Cornelius' expert challenges, specifically with the defeat the Kuranga within 10 seconds, is cruel for a first level expert. And I've heard later stages, it can get even more cruel than that. So yeah, challenge was pretty fun, but hard as nails difficulty. So if you're up to the challenge, go for it, you got cool rewards for it. And speaking of those rewards, by doing certain tasks in the campaign and challenges, you unlock lore and whole viewer. While yes, most of these are from Nintendo Power and manuals and guides, it's super convenient to have them all in one place. Since one of the biggest critique of the series that all the world building is stuck in external manual, and yes, like I said, there's differences with Fox characterization, and this is represented in the whole viewer as well. The other type of reward you get is banners and logos for Battle Mode. This is the multiplayer option of the game, where you play a 4v4 where you're either Star Fox or Star Wolf, and you score points by shooting down targets or succeeding at events in the maps. And not gonna lie, this might be as fun, if not more fun, than Assault's multiplayer. It is super addictive but repetitive. There's only 3 maps, so it can be very samey for most matches. And I hope they keep updating this mode with new maps. And it's not like most Nintendo multiplayer offerings where they just released a few stuff post-launch, then they're done. Overall, I was surprised with this remake. I was fully ready to give this game the Markiplier Poppy treatment.
This was a fucking mess.
And man, this was good. And I hope it does well, so this franchise can not only finally have a future, but that we finally move on from the Lyad Wars. There's so much to explore in this universe, with so many cool characters and lore to explore. There's an 8-year gap between 64 and Adventures, for Christ's sake, do something there! But overall, I'll give this remake an 8 out of 10, I highly recommend it. Sorry for the big gap between uploads, I had a lot going on between 2 uploads. I'll see you all next time.